Hi everyone, and welcome to Tuesday's Tips with Laurie and Jeanette today. I appreciate all the help that I'm receiving around here. So to start with, we're doing a part 2 on the stabilizers because we wanted to talk about some other stabilizer options as well first, and then we also wanted to get to Shapeflex. I know that there's been a lot of discussion on Shapeflex and purpose of the Shapeflex and when we would recommend using that. So to start with, I had someone that asked a question of when would I use something that has a nap? How would I hoop that? What would I put on the back and what would I put on the front? So we're going to start with that today. Jeanette's my helper here. Absolutely. So we're going to start with, we've got a terry cloth here. It's a tea towel, but it's got some nap to it. So the first thing that I would recommend is...
You should tell them what nap is.
Yes, go right ahead.
Nap is like how far up the fibers of the fabric come. So like a terry cloth towel has really great nap to it. It's just thicker. And sometimes embroidery, that makes a difference because it's harder to get your stitches to lay on top of that nap instead of have them suck inside. So that's why you have to hoop it different and use different stabilizer.
So recently I helped someone with a minky. They wanted to put on a little minky blanket. They wanted a cute little initial or name on the corner. Well, that would be an example of when I would do this exact same layout where I put a wash away on the back as a stabilizer. We hooped it with the nap, the item that had the nap, and then we also placed this material, well, it's actually a stabilizer, but it feels like, almost like saran wrap. And you can use saran wrap. I have used saran wrap. It does stretch. This is a lot more stable because it's got a fiber that goes through it, but it's water soluble. But you put it on the front of your project and it's see-through so that you can see kind of what you're doing through your project. And you can do this a couple ways. You can float this, you can tape this on here, or you can hoop it in. And I don't know which.
So you could. So we have the wash away stabilizer, your fabric with the nap, and then the hoop. So you can just put it right on top.
And you could cut it. I would cut it smaller and tape it. The Kimberbell tape, paper tape holds this great. You can do it just like that. Or if you want, you can cut this bigger and you can hoop it in on the top. Either way works. And last week we talked about floating stabilizer, and it's the exact same idea or concept. You don't want to use a lot of this. You can definitely just cut the small piece that you need for the area that you need and tape it down, and that'll save on your stabilizer. So, but if you want to hoop it in, if it's a big project and you're going to be like if it's a 9x14 piece and you've got a lot going on, I would hoop it in. So it's up to you which way you'd like to go with that. So this stabilizer, it's called Dissolve, but there's other brands that it's listed under.
Water soluble topping
yeah,
would be a good way to search.
Water soluble topping would be an excellent way to search. Yes. So hopefully that will answer the questions that were asked about topping and with nap. The second thing I wanted to talk about was, we can unhoop this, and we're going to talk just briefly about, we've got these fun blank totes that Kimberbell has. Now, even though it's a jean material, I still, if you're doing a heavy stitch out on this, I still recommend a double layer so that it will lay flat. This probably isn't a project that you would want to put Shapeflex on the back of, because your Shapeflex stays in that project and you would see it on the back side of the hoop. And so to get the a better flat laying, for example, if you're stitching out the bicycle on one of these bags, you would want to double the stabilizer. So Jeanette can show you.
So we just have one stabilizer here, but you would just lay one on top of the other, and then you would just hoop the bag. You'd find your center and just hoop it with the two layers.
With both layers
underneath it. So then you just hoop it.
Yeah, and it actually really helps it lay nice and smooth. You don't have to worry about it starting to pucker. And so, on felt, we typically will use tear away when we have any of our Kimberbell projects, the dealer exclusives, Some of them we call for felt. You'll be using felt or some fabric on top of felt even. We recommend the tear-away stabilizer so that you can tear it away from your project so it's not seen on the outside, but it can still be on the inside for the stiffness.
Yeah.
And so last thing we want to talk about is our Shapeflex. A lot of people were wondering, what is Shapeflex? It's really hard to tell on just a picture what Shapeflex is all about. We keep it on hand. We love using it. It's been a really good product, I feel, to help with a lot of our stitch outs.
Yeah, especially like the blocks that are just a lot of embroidery. So on the Hello Sunshine quilt, an example of that would be some of them that have just like the Life is Good block, Enjoy the Little Things. All of them that have just a lot of words. Even the bicycle block would be a really great one to use the Shapeflex on. So
it's easy to use. So what it looks like, it's actually a cloth. It's not an interfacing, it's an actual cloth. It looks like a thin linen fabric.
Cotton.
Cotton, yes. Yeah. And then on the back side, you can feel that there's glue, iron-on glue.
It's like bumpy. I don't know if you can see those bumps. That's the adhesive. It's a iron-on adhesive.
And so what we've done, or what we would do, is we would cut off. You want this piece to be smaller than your piece of fabric, but big enough it's going to cover your entire project. And so we do have a piece of fabric, and we have an iron that is not plugged in. I promise, not plugged in.
It's totally not.
She would be burning her fingers.
Yes. Totally not.
That'd be a cool iron, right? One that just doesn't burn anything. Okay, so if, for example, we are putting this into a 5x7 hoop.
It's a big piece of fabric.
It is. Sorry, yes. So what you would do is cut your. I cut the Shapeflex almost the exact same size as my background piece of fabric that I'm putting in my hoop. So, and I not cut very well here. And then the way it's applied, you take the back, the adhesive side of the, you lay your fabric right side down, and then you take the bumpy side and you place it towards the fabric itself. So that this is the smooth side and this is the right side of your fabric. And then you iron. And you iron it on, and it will stick right to your fabric.
Do you use steam when you iron yourself? I use steam.
I do because it releases the adhesive
better. Sometimes if I don't have water in here, I'll just spray it with water and be like,
get a little bit of steam. And I believe that is, somebody had mentioned that you are, you know how if they're going to shrink, you want to pre-wash them. And somebody said, well, will this shrink? It's not supposed to shrink, but if you use the water and you do the heat on it right then, it stays that shape that you've got. And so definitely iron this to your fabric. Don't just hoop the two together. It defeats the purpose of the Shapeflex.
So, and different use for Shapeflex, but very similar. I love, when I do hand embroidery, I love using Shapeflex. It's the same exact product, but I will iron it on the back before I start doing hand stitching. And then even on white fabric, the knots that you have to tie, or if you jump from one word to the next or something, if you have a small jump on the back, you can't see it on the front. Even just on white fabric, this is enough to just hide all of that, and it just helps support those stitches. So I love Shapeflex for my hand embroidery too. So
for everyone that's doing the Hello Sunshine, the sewing version, there's a lot of hand work on those bicycles, and they are so gorgeous when they're done. Really, really pretty. But there's a lot of hand work. We did use the Shapeflex on the backs of those when we made our sewing version because of the stability that it gives the fabric. So, and then you would just hoop this with the white side as to the backing, and I still would use stabilizer. Use stabilizer as well. This isn't in the place of stabilizer. This is to support additional. So I would use your stabilizer
and then put that into.
Correct. Yes. If you have any questions, please let us know. we're happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
We're going to get to them right away, right?
Of course. Got lots of time for that, right?
That's right. So we appreciate all of you that have tuned in. And again, this is called Shapeflex. It's an actual cloth. It's not a... It's not an pell-on. It's not an interfacing. It's actual fabric. And we do leave it in the... Yeah, it's found by the interfacing, yes. And it's very... when you're finished, it's still very pliable. It's very pliable, so it's really soft. You don't notice that you've got that extra layer there. Whereas if you wanted to use an interfacing, you could, but it's going to give that stiff feel to your quilt. Yeah. And this won't do that. That's the purpose, actually. I believe that's why. Yeah. Flexible, but it keeps its shape. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you next Tuesday.